Will Boris Johnson stick to his 15th of October Brexit deadline with the European Union? Going to bring you all the very latest on this, guys, over some concerning reports today. But as ever, if you could please start by clicking subscribe and the bell so you don't miss future reports. So you can now click join if you'd like to support my work. Join the Supporters Club here on the Westminster channel on YouTube for lots of exclusive content. Would really appreciate your support. Now, there are multiple reports today that Boris Johnson, having made that pledge that a deal with the EU basically needed to be agreed by the 15th of October. Of course, that's tomorrow. There are now a lot of separate reports saying that in actual fact, this is no longer the case and Boris Johnson potentially caving in on this. Now, we know that the EU, Michel Barnier, effectively dismissed that deadline and didn't take it seriously at all. But we now have, starting off with the Express, the report that PM caves on own red line as EU forces through more negotiations. The Centre for Brexit Policy picking up on this as well, saying Boris Johnson will not walk away from the Brexit negotiations tomorrow and will sanction further wrangling over a free trade agreement with the European Union. Boris Johnson, this is the Express reporting that the Prime Minister will not decide before Friday whether an agreement with the bloc is possible after being advised on the latest progress by Brexit envoy Lord Frost. Sources close to the talks have signalled that progress has been made in a number of areas, but the key sticking point of fisheries, enforcement of the agreement and further state subsidies policy remain. And of course that refers to the EU's so-called level playing field, where they basically want the UK to sign up to all sorts of EU rules and restrictions to try and curtail that Brexit competitive advantage that absolutely must not be allowed to happen. We must reject the so-called level playing field. We must reject the status quo on fisheries. The Express report going on to say Lord Frost will tell Number 10 a deal is still possible if both sides agree to work extremely hard in the coming weeks. Downing Street is understood to be keen to wait for any new mood music to emerge from a crunch summit of European leaders in Brussels on Thursday and Friday. Bloomberg, with a similar report, saying the UK won't walk away from EU trade talks immediately. They report that the EU will continue efforts to reach an agreement with the European Union on their future relationship beyond Prime Minister Boris Johnson's October 15th deadline. According to a person close to the negotiations, Johnson will make a decision on whether to end talks after EU leaders meet on Thursday and Friday for a summit, said the person, who asked not to be identified because the discussions are private. The person said that the UK officials still believe a deal is possible as long as both sides enter into a period of intense negotiations in the coming days. Now, there is a hat trick on this report because RTE also have the report that negotiations between the EU and the UK will continue over the next 2 weeks, despite Boris Johnson's earlier assertion that this week's summit of EU leaders marks the deadline for agreement. According to a source close to the talks, RTE going on to report that there is growing pessimism that the key stumbling block to a deal, such as fisheries and the so-called level playing field, can be overcome in the short term, says the source. So there you have it. It seems some increasing pessimism. The UK side thinking that a deal potentially still possible. But Boris Johnson set out that 15th of October deadline. Let me know what you think in the comments, guys, about whether he sticks to this or not. Do you expect him to? What will you think if he doesn't? Interested to know your thoughts on this. RTE's report going on to say at a broader level, London believes the EU still does not fully accept that the UK will become an independent sovereign country, after the source says. And that is abundantly clear in these negotiations. The very fact, guys, the very fact that even this week we've heard that the French position on fisheries is to maintain the status quo. This is utterly delusional. There is no way the British government could agree anything even close to that. Otherwise, it would be regarded as a complete and utter sellout. And frankly, it shows you some of the delusion going on inside the European Union. We've seen a sense of panic as well, with briefings from European sources saying that they want Boris Johnson to pick up the phone and personally intervene. But intervene in what? If the EU are still insisting on this ridiculous position on fisheries that would see the status quo maintain a status quo that has devastated and betrayed the British fishing industry. It's truly delusional stuff. The RTE report goes on to state this appears to be holding up discussions on fisheries, state aid, how disputes will be settled, and the ability for the EU to retaliate in different sectors if there is a dispute. I still think that on the EU side there is a belief that they're still dealing with sort of the Theresa May style, which is basically cave in on everything. And we've heard yesterday, UK source slamming the EU for what they described as running down the clock, essentially banking on the UK side, the British government backing down and giving concessions to the EU, selling out Brexiteers at the last minute. Now, all to be fair, all the way through this, Lord Frost, Frosty the No Man, some contrast again to the lot that were negotiating before. He said all the right things, he stood strong, but this is, of course, is the crucial moment in negotiations. Do you hold firm? Do you hold firm to the deadline, or do you sell out? The RTE report also saying, and it's also understood that London is insisting it will keep the clauses within the internal market bill which breach the Northern Ireland Protocol on the statute books once the bill becomes law, despite the EU's insistence that no free trade agreement will be ratified unless the clauses are withdrawn. And that's a part, we saw that Michael Gove had a meeting with the EU's Mara Sefcovic, where basically the EU demanded that the UK withdraw clauses in the internal market bill. British government, Michael Gove, to be fair, rejected that, said it ain't going to happen. And of course, we see now the EU still complaining about it. Now, I just want to remind you, when it comes to this deadline, this is why it matters, because this is what Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister, said about the 15th of October deadline. It couldn't get clearer than this. I know I've mentioned it a few times in this channel before. I just want to reiterate what Boris Johnson said. He said that the EU has been very clear about the timetable. I am too. There needs to be an agreement with our European friends, he said, by the time of the European Council on the 15th of October, if it's going to be enforced by the end of the year. So there is no sense in thinking about timelines that go beyond that point. If we can't agree by then I do not see that there will be a free trade agreement between us, and we should both accept that and move on. We will have a trading arrangement with the EU like Australia's. I want to be absolutely clear that, as we've said right from the start, that would be a good outcome for the UK. As a government, we are preparing, he said, at our borders and at our ports to be ready for it. We will have full control over our laws, our rules, and our fishing waters. We will have the freedom to do free trade deals with every country in the world, and we will prosper mightily as a result. That is what Boris Johnson said about the 15th of October deadline. We've heard so much about it. The reports today saying that in actual fact, Boris may, it may be scrapped, this deadline. The talks may go into November. Could they go into December even? We won't have long to find out, guys. Let me know what you think about these reports. Let me know what you think about what is likely to happen. As I've always said on this channel, I want to give the British government the benefit of the doubt. These are only reports. We won't have long to find out. Let's see what happens. And as ever, guys, if you've enjoyed this report, if you found it helpful and informative, please click thumbs up, click subscribe and the bell so you don't miss future reports. And of course, now you can join the Supporters Club. Would really appreciate your support. If you click join below this video, $4.99 a month, you're going to get exclusive content on there. Lots of you saying keep up the good work, Michael. Look, if you click join, you can help me out. You can support my work here as I keep doing almost daily reports on the West Monster channel. As ever, guys, thank you very much for watching.